Good evening, everybody, and welcome to WOR. There is no delays for us. We smash on through, and we are definitely happy to be here for the British Grand Prix at WOR, and I'm joined by the ever incredible Joseph. Welcome along for this one. It's going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah, it should do. Thank you very much. I could have a passionate rant right now about the state of F1 Esports, F1 sim racing over in the Maldives, but we won't be doing that. We're in sunny Silverstone, and we've got an absolutely fantastic race in store. Let's enjoy it. Let's make the most of what league racing is about.
Let's skip over that, shall we? Let's see what this is all about. And the top guys from here generally do make it higher up as well, and there is some real great talent we do have, and it's an incredible track, probably one of the most, if not the most historic track on the calendar nowadays. There is not many people that wouldn't know what the Wellington Straight is, or Stowe. It's just so much here at Silverstone that people know and love. Now, while we're here, we spoke just quickly about stats beforehand, didn't we? And the last two times we've raced here, whether that was the console tier 1 or the last time full of Xbox side of things, it's an American that's won it on both of those occasions.
Yeah, it has been. It was Axe in season 13, which was the last Xbox only WOR tier when they were separate entities, and then obviously we didn't race here in season 15 last season because that race was postponed. It was season 14, and that was won by Skither. So it would be Axe F1 tonight to potentially make it 3 American wins in a row on the Thanksgiving weekend, of course. That would be a pretty good omen if it was to come true.
Yeah, I'm sure he would love it if that would be the case. Just a few things to go through on this one tonight. We've got the qualifying bans for NVR Nick and Louis Valentin for last week's transgressions. And while we're on the subject of last week, let's have just a quick look at the standings, because Kai Pearson is leading the way, and what a race for him and Nick. Mobarak couldn't do anything about their pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Third pole, third win for Kai Pearson last week. Nick, he was there. He could have maybe taken it to Kai in the final few laps, but actually a rear lockup at turn 10 sort of denied him and put him a couple of seconds behind. He had to settle for second. It was controversy over the line. Mubarak finishing third. A photo finish, wheel-to-wheel with Sammy Shemsi and Enzo Soom as well. That was reported by Sammy, but technically the incident didn't involve him. Therefore, he didn't actually have grounds to report that one. So it was denied. The order stays as it was.
Yeah, that's all. The only things to really report from last week, quite thankfully, a little bit less on the reports front this from this season. That's a good start. Let's hope it stays that way. But Silverstone always brings up a little bit of controversy. Let's go out on track and have a look at Furious, who's just about to start his lap time. He is on his lap time, going down the old start-finish straight here as he comes through. It's going to be interesting. Schumacher's here. He had a little bit of an off week last week. Showed some good pace, but then just couldn't really put anything together, and unfortunately he retired in the pits.
Yeah, I mean, pace-wise, he looked, tier 1 sort of level, which was great to see. Of course, another reserve appearance tonight, but the unwanted stat that he's got is, 7 DNFs in his last 10 WR races across Tier 2 last season and the first round of Tier 1 this season. So he's hoping to potentially avoid that. If he does so, chances are he'd be on the podium, because that's how his Tier 2 stats were looking last season. First lap's coming in, though, right as we join the action. Furious setting a good benchmark, 25 flat.
Yeah, Mobarak couldn't do anything, but there's Sammy Shemsi there. Look at that. That is, 0.4 of a second quicker than Furious at the moment. A very good benchmark for the McLaren driver. Ryder Dahl we're on board with now as he heads through turn 9 there, where we had the infamous Hamilton and Verstappen controversy. And seeing as we're at that weekend again, let's talk about a different incident that those two have had. But interesting there through Maggots and Beckett's. It looked like he just lifted a little bit through more the chapel curve, which possibly cost him some time as he goes down the Hanger Straight.
Oh, I was going to say possibly dialing in, but a massive slide, well held actually from Ryterdale coming through Stowe Corner. And with 3 more to go, it might not be the lap time he was hoping for. He'll finish it nevertheless and give himself a banker. But yeah, unsurprisingly, it's down pretty low in P14 at the moment. Scary moment there. Certainly some work to do with whatever's bothering him with that setup. He's had another slide on his in-lap.
That's not ideal for the Williams driver. But on the subject of Williams drivers, let's go on to his teammate Stefano as he heads through Luffield and through Woodcote and to the old start finish straight. Looking quite tidy at the moment, but again, another driver that I think last week just didn't really dial in, as what you mentioned. Look at all those cars he has to carve his way through before he gets to Maggots and Beckers.
Yeah, it was a P17 start for him last week. It was the biggest gainer on the opening lap with 6 places, but it didn't really materialise to anything more, unfortunately. Those early race gains, nothing more than just a take-home event from Bahrain. But either way, we've seen one Williams have a slide coming through Stowe, and then of course onto the Vale chicane now, slightly wide of both apexes, rounds the final corner at Club, bit more inside curb there obviously, but again, a really slow start from both of them. Rydertown in 16th, Stefano in 17th, almost a second for Stefano off pole at the moment.
Not ideal. The 2 McLarens, though, on the other end of the scale. Very quick cars. Only managed P4 and then Aurelian in P3 there. Good to see Aurelian doing some good times so far. Obviously, plenty of qualifying yet to remain here. And we're going to see OP Tim come through at just about to start his, believe it's his first lap time, which will be an interesting to see because it's a little bit later than some of the other drivers. Maybe he's going to push for only 2 qualifying laps when everyone else is going to try and get 3 in this qualifying session.
Yeah, running slightly out of sync. I did actually see on social media before we started tonight, Tim is unfortunately not very well. I know it's on my somewhere, so I'm going to find exactly what he said. He said he's got a cold coming on, he's got a new pair of racing shoes. Those shoes are slippers tonight, so I can't imagine he'll be feeling the most comfortable out there on circuit, but fair play to him, sticking with it, acknowledging the fact that he's going to have a bit of fun racing tonight. It's a 27-1 in the first sector. It's not too bad, actually, but I imagine those slippers might be giving him a bit of a different feel under those pedals. Yeah,
probably not what he would have want under those pedals, but fair play to him to stick it out and go for it. Let's hope for the best for him tonight, and who knows, he might even get away with some points here tonight. Just some of the other drivers coming out. Furious and Ryan are coming out. They were 2 of the first drivers to come out of the first one. Furious definitely was. He was the first driver to set a lap time of this qualifying session. So it'll be interesting to see how he can handle this. Furious currently down in 11th place, 0.4 of a second away from Sammy. So it's going to be... he's got a little bit of time to find, and our last Silverstone winner's not here, but Axe, the one before that, is currently down in 12th place. No, difficult to repeat his heroics as things stand.
Yeah, absolutely. It's strange that on such a historic circuit, we've got to go, 3 seasons back to get our most recent Tier 1 winner around here, but in which case, fair enough. It just shows how much the grid has evolved. Tim actually went 5th there, so those slippers not causing him any trouble at the moment. He might have to keep racing with them at this point in time. Furious as well, of course, next car to start a flying lap in this session. He's actually back-to-back in Tier 2. Season 14 in Crossplay Tier 2, he won the race. Season 15, he did exactly the same thing. Tier 1's a different challenge, though, but if he can repeat those heroics, then, wow, it just shows how good he is around here.
It's not many would be able to say that they're double race winners around Silverstone, in a row, let alone 3 times, no matter the tier that you're in. Looking quite good through Farm and Village there, but a little bit wide on the entry coming through Aintree, so might not have... Well, I say he might not have the optimal speed coming through there. It's whatever suits them better, really, isn't it? We're only the commentators.
Yeah, we are only the commentators, and we feel a little bit guilty making any criticisms, but Furious, it's not been too bad of a start to this lap through Woodcote now. Again, just hitting that apex with his front right tyre. Driving style into Cop's always an interesting one. He goes down a gear into 7th. That's what he's aiming for. About 180 mile an hour minimum speed. The downforce doing its work there, but he can keep his foot flat. Not so much though for Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. Few lifts off the throttle, bit of a dab of the brake, and now he's fully back on the throttle all the way down towards Stowe Corner. That's a game crash there for Axe F1, I'm afraid. Similar sort of things going on for him recently. That just seems like a relapse of that. But anyway, on goes Furious down in towards Vale. Now he's got 2 McLarens in front of him. The one in front, I can't actually tell by name who that is, but he's not caused Furious too much trouble. A big enough gap. And the Alfa Romeo driver goes 7th, 9 thousandths behind his teammate.
Let's go on board with Enzo then. I think it's Enzo's the first one. That's not too bad a time for Furious though. I'm guessing though he's going to be thinking top 10 is probably going to be his aim, isn't it? He's probably not going to want to push. Well, everyone wants to win a race, but when you've got the likes of Kai and Sammy and okay, Nick's down the bottom, but when you've got those one lap Enzo, I'm not sure how I forgot Enzo there as well. Those one lap pace guys who can just eke that extra few tenths out. I don't think he'd mind me saying, Furious, there that he's just hoping for a top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure his expectations wasn't, especially when he looked at that initial grid, which had Reese, which had Kai, which had Sammy, and all those other drivers you just mentioned. He's here to be competitive. He's here to, of course, prove why he should be in this tier, of course. And based on his recent records in WOR, P3 in Tier 2's championship last season, then yeah, he fully deserves to be here, and is he can only set himself a higher target as is possible. So whatever that is, I don't know. I've not asked him, but doing a good job so far, sitting inside the top 10. Enzo, though, it's been a pretty neat and tidy lap. He's committing with it. Makes me feel like he's up on his time, and that's a 400th improvement, which takes him very, very close to his teammate Sammy, who did come into the pits.
That's a very, very close time between him and Sammy there. Shazoo Tom going, looking relatively slow. I don't think he's going to be on a lap time. Gabor, I think, is just is going to follow him through Maggots and Beckett, so I'm guessing he is on a lap. He's looking very, very quick there, and look at that. Shazoo Tom had to mount the curb to get out of the way of the Haas. This is looking like a relatively solid lap time for Gabor there, and I wonder if it's going to be enough. And to say that, he's actually 8 seconds. He's just taken Maggots and Beckett's really well and mugged me off.
Yeah, he's off the battery now, so certainly coming into the pit lane. But one thing about Gabor, we know how good his one lap pace is. He qualified 3rd last week, just a 10th off of the rapid Kai Pearson, of course. He was the hero for BRT in the Legacy Division qualifiers. There is a reason why they have held on to him. There's a reason why he loves racing, because he can extract a lap time when it matters the most. Another driver that is in fine form after a P6 finish last week, Quantum. He's currently 7th in qualifying at the moment. We caught some brilliant moves from him last week, including around the outside at turn 6 on Louis Valentin. And yeah, he's backed that up already. Couple tenths off pole.
Yeah, it's looking interesting out there. Kai Pearson has taken pole position again. It's a little bit of a Red Bull dominance right now through the Xbox console tiers. We've had I think Otis Lawrence, Thomas Ronha, and obviously now Kai Pearson and Reese Linton, all Red Bull drivers in the recent years, all looking incredibly solid in their respective tiers and in their respective seasons, and winning the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Kai Pearson, by the way, 18 today, 3 days away from me, which is nice. So we've probably both had a drink or two this week. So again, plugging his Xbox back in an hour before the race. He did PC Tier 1 here last Sunday at Silverstone. Great races, unfortunately, no points to take home from that one. But, you know, either way, straight back into the Xbox with things and straight back onto provisional pole position. But looking a fair bit closer this week.
Unfortunately, you went a little bit robotic there, Joseph, so not ideal. But I did hear that it was birthday for Kai Pearson and birthday for yourself as well in the same, 3 days apart. So happy birthday to the both of you. How about that? See if the chat will say anything about it as well. Axe F1 then, starting his lap. I say starting his lap. He's in his lap, going through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel Curve as we speak. Down the hanger straight. It is up on his lap time by 0.2 of a second. It will be enough at the moment just to put him on the edge of the top 10, if not just inside the top 10. Look at how close Quantum, Gabor, Tim and Murphy and Furious all are. You could even throw Schumacher into that mix and Liam Bowman as well. All agonisingly close to each other. But here comes Axe F1 over the line. That's a large improvement and very, very close to Aurelian.
Yeah, didn't get his second lap in this session, so that is a vital one. He came out on the track earlier to make sure he had a lap before any more potential game issues. That will be the time he sets. That is the final lap, because he won't have time to set another one. 1,000th off Aurelian, agonisingly close to a second row provisionally there, but still a solid effort from Axe F1, who spent most of the race last week in AI. I think from lap 1, he didn't do a thing following the racing instant tangle with Gabor at only the third corner. So a shame to see his race end so soon last week, but better qualifying position this time should hopefully steer him away from that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We've just seen Mobarak go over, well, just decide not to take Maggots there, and he's just about to start his lap time. He's well in front of anyone else. He will be the first man to set a lap time here in WOR Britain, and it's round 2 of season 16. Hopefully the audio has sorted. It's sorted on my side, so it's hopefully sorted for the stream side as well. But here we go, Mobarak through sector 1. He's got a lot of time to make up because a 1:25.1 is not good enough at the moment.
Yeah, front row start last week. Apologies about the audio, by the way. I've just had a listen in. It could be better, but to be honest, the last couple of days I've been struggling to play Fortnite without getting 100 pings, so it might fluctuate throughout the stream, in which case I apologise in advance. Always the Fortnite metric that's good to use. Axe F1 retires, and my back's in the wall. He had the snap coming through Lovefield, and he realised that, well, there was no really getting out of that. He's into the barrier. Front row last week, 16th this week.
Not ideal for him at all. It's a big moment for a Ferrari. They seem to have it a lot at the moment, and that is into the wall for him. It's Enzo next then, going past the stricken Ferrari as he heads down what is now the Hamilton Straight and into Copse. It's looking relatively tidy at the moment for, Sammy, not Enzo. Got it the wrong way around, even though I'm looking at the drivers. This is interesting, but yeah, Sammy Shemzy, he's got a lot of work to do to beat Kai Pearson on his day, and at the moment he's matching him punch for punch.
Oh my word, he is absolutely flying, is the Canadian. P4 it was last week in that photo finish. Oh no, he's had a snap. Oh, he's invalidated on the exit of Stowe. And as soon as that rear end stepped out, he had to try and save it, and in doing so, he went off the track. What would the lap have been? It would have been slower, and it was the mistake at Copse that cost him. That is so bittersweet in the end, because it was such a good lap until that point. Enzo couldn't improve either. Aurelian to the top, and we've got Kai Pearson going into Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, that is going to be a very, very interesting one. We'll go on board with Ogwyn for the time being. I think Zoo Tom's further down. Kai Pearson is just behind as Furious. Is that Furious into P6 there? Yeah, it's Furious into P6. Interesting, solid from him. And Ogwyn trying to get through. Stefano going P7 for the time being. Here's Ogwyn up into P5 provisionally. Quantum across the line, only P8. What is Kai Pearson capable of doing? He's spun it across the line. He's 2/10 down. We're going to have Aurelian surely on pole, unless Shazoo Tom can pull a rabbit out of the hat.
It's the first pole in Tier 1 for Aurelian, and Tom can only manage 5th. There's 6 drivers within a 10th there. Somebody else popped up to P7 over the line. Didn't quite catch who it was, but so many changes there at just the final 30 seconds of qualifying, and Aurelian has snatched the second pole of the season away from Kai Pearson. 2-2.
Nice there from Aurelian. Pole position, first time, like you mentioned, in Tier 1. Kai Pearson in second, third place to Shemzy. Enzo in fourth, fifth to Tom. Alguin in 6th, 7th to Liam Bowman. He was the one that threw himself up into the Axe F1. 8th, 9th to Furious, 10th to Quantum. Then we had Stefano, Murphy, Gabor, Tim, Schumacher, Ryan, Ryderdal and Mobarak, who we did see crash out of that. And then don't forget, Louis Valentine and Nick. We don't know their true pace here because we didn't get to see them at qualifying because of their qualifying bans. So that's an interesting one in itself. Quite a subdued qualifying until the end then.
Yeah, it was. It just felt like a few drivers were slow to get up to pace, and we were seeing mistakes right through the session with regards to track limits. So, again, a real shame, an uncharacteristic one to see Sami Shemsi, of course, with that invalidation at Stowe. What else did we see? We saw Mubarak with the slide at Luffield. These guys are running quite low. You know, they're really trying to push levels of downforce, and yeah, should make for an entertaining race, especially if those cars are more slippery in a straight line.
Yes, I think we're just going to have a little bit of a lobby reset, I believe.
Yeah.
So just give us a little bit of time just to get that all sorted. But for the time being, Kai Pearson, we thought maybe he could run away with it this season. Are we going to see a season of different tracks? We're going to have different drivers challenge Kai, or is it going to be pretty much Kai will eventually just find his legs and run away?
Yeah, I mean, he wants to stay around in crossplay Tier 1 this season. Of course, when there's a rig on the line, there's a sim racing seat on the line from Next Level Racing, of course. He wants that. He wants that addition to his setup, which is completely fine. That's what the whole prize system is for. So I do expect him to stick around, but, you know, the whole lack of practice thing could be a spanner in the works, especially as people build up their confidence around him later on in the season. So could be a tale of two halves, but it depends how he gets on PC, I think, that will influence him here on console.
Yeah, we've seen drivers try and do a mixture of both before, haven't we? And it just hasn't really worked out. Nick being a prime example, just going from PC to Xbox, and it just, or console, I should say, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, I think that day is still coming for Nick. I'm not quite sure what his plans are, because I think he joked around the retirement word. Still so young. I mean, I don't know why I'd throw that word around, but still, it's just about where you feel the most comfortable at the moment, and for Nick especially, that is on Xbox.
Yeah, some drivers don't get that affinity, I suppose, with PC. They just don't feel it the same as a console. Whether that's the driver inputs are different. Well, they are quite clearly different between console and PC. Most people prefer the PC side of things, don't they? But sometimes you will always have that occasional people to go the other way around, and it could just be that the game just you get a game cycle where it just really just clicks with a driver, and that's it. They move to the PC.
Yeah, again, coming down to preference. I mean, you can really push performance on PC with regards to, specs and whatnot. My knowledge is not there, and as someone trying to look into, maybe getting there one day, no idea. But again, Nick also wants the title. He wants to show what he's made of, because he's already tripled his points tally from last season. So a complete turnaround in fortunes, finally back to that sort of level of motivation as well, which I think you need before making another transition. Definitely,
you need the confidence behind you. Is definitely a way for it. So let's head back to Silverstone. That's what we're looking at tonight. 26 laps of this historic circuit, and where on track is it? Stowe, is that going to be the main point tonight? People going into Stowe, or are we going to see people through down into Brooklands? Is that going to be the main point, or even Cops maybe?
Well, I was doing a race last night, commentating over in EOR. That was Silverstone. to be honest, the majority of the moves in the DRS train came down at Stowe. So, just holding back at the Wellington straight, really, leaving it until Hangar, and then sort of starting that process again. So, if you're on the quicker tyres, if you've got the pace, yes, we will see moves down at Brooklands, but often we see drivers just maybe colliding as it sort of tightens as you get around the corner. A possibility to get pinched on the inside. So I think the drivers prefer Stowe as well as a less risky option.
Yeah, it's the Brooklands Luffield Woodcut section is very, like you say, tight and not a lot of room for manoeuvre. Seeing is that the track's quite wide, but you've got it's a swing left and then a swing right, and you've just as soon as you exit Luffield, that's it. It's foot to the floor. There's no real other than what we saw with Mobarak there, that snap. There's no real error areas in that section. You probably you're right staying and waiting for Stowe, but then if you take Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel wrong, that's perfect for Hangar Straight.
Yeah, I mean, Luffield at the exit, even Brooklands as well, that's lined with grass and gravel. So if you're forced out wide there, then it's a completely different story to what it is at Stowe, where you've got tarmac runoff. So again, it comes down to risk, and there's a lot less of it at Stowe. But again, I mean, even coming out of Luffield, you're flat all the way until Maggots, and the last thing you want to be doing is going side by side through cops. So just another reason for that, I suppose.
Definitely. I do apologise for the waffling on Joseph and my side. We are just waiting for the lobby to get itself restarted here in Britain of WOR. We're round 2 of this season, and it's we've had an incredible race at Bahrain. Some real tactical play, a little bit of controversy, and 2 Red Bulls that didn't take no for an answer, and they went away. The only blemish in that was Red Bull's side. There was Nick's back end just locking up a little bit more than he would have wanted to. Mobarak, though, was very, very solid in that race, and it's going to be interesting to see how he handles the pressure on a different side, having to drive towards the back of the grid tonight. Yeah,
I mean, again, I've got another story of Nick. I think it was back in NRC, another twos tournament. I think back end of last game, he had a wheel failure. He had a problem in qualifying. He started from the back. He actually came through to lead going into the final few laps, and unfortunately it was heartbreak as his tyres just had absolutely no more left in it. So again, he might try a similar sort of strategy, leave it long, pit early, undercut absolutely everybody, and do an absolute masterstroke in strategy. But I think with the tyres on this year's game, once they're gone, there is absolutely no coming back. Yeah,
the tyres coming back to you doesn't seem to really happen so much on this game at all. As we've seen in real life, F1, the tyres do sometimes, if they hit that looking like they're going place, they do come back occasionally. It all depends on how the rubber or the marbles on the tyre. We spoke about marbles on the track last week and definitely last season, but it's the marbles on the tyre that also cause it as well. It's really interesting, and I wish I knew more about it. And anyway, the time is coming down. We're good for stopping waffling very, very shortly. So we will ask a simple question of who do you guys think is going to win this race tonight at Great Britain, Silverstone, and Joseph, and over to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no Otmir, there's no Longay, there's none of the guys you would have expected maybe about an hour and a half ago. Sorry about that. You've got us instead and 20 of the best across console. But the best tonight, I'm looking at the list of names, I'm looking at the grid, and I'm going, I have absolutely no idea, because there was about a 10th in 7 drivers there. But it'll be a strategical element, and I think somebody 6th or 7th can win this race. Why don't I throw the 6th place man and say that Ogween will win his first Tier 1 race? How about that?
I want to go with the front man, Aurelian. It would be a nice story to see. But then I'm sure it would be even nicer for Axe F1 to do it as well. Furious with the stat of 3 race victories in a row at Silverstone. bearing in mind that 2 of them have come from Tier 2, but it's still a stat that not many can say in WOR at all. While we go through there, and like you mentioned, it may not be the drivers that you would have expected an hour and a half ago, but you do have an incredible commentator, and Joseph being able to go through it instead. I'd much rather have him on your screens. Anyway, as the season progresses, Joseph, obviously we've got Monaco next week. Talk about a change of scenery. Silverstone, historic, wide, great for overtaking. Monaco, brown trouser moments pretty much every stage of the race.
Well, firstly, I think I'd rather live in Monaco than the county of my birth here in Northamptonshire. But, that aside, Monaco is a racetrack. Yeah, the walls are about there compared to Silverstone where they're about there. So just an analogy there, if I can get my words out. But yeah, completely different. Qualifying as well. Wow, it's just spectacular. And, they'll be hitting the walls because often that's the quickest way around.
Yeah, Monaco. There's talks of people saying that about Monaco versus Vegas, and I'd still prefer Monaco on the calendar just because of it's the crown jewel, really. But Vegas had its good points as well. Anyway, back to Monaco. Qualifying is so crucial there. It's crucial in F1 anyway, but never more so than in Monaco. And we saw many seasons ago with Danny Ricciardo at Red Bull having the engine problem, but still managing to win the race.
Yeah, you can drive at about 50% pace if you've got the lead. So qualifying first is always the most important thing because you essentially dictate what everybody else is doing. Still the threat of undercuts and whatnot, though, that goes the same with any track, including Silverstone tonight. So, I cannot wait for it in just 7 days' time.
Yeah, not long to go at all. And it's not long until we get underway here at Silverstone either. Hopefully it's just a few drivers getting their setups ready. Interesting. They're all going to have the fresh tyres, aren't they? There's no repercussion of doing an extra lap in qualifying like you would have normally. So there's no punishment there. It's a little bit of a free go. But hopefully the race will be underway very, very shortly.
Yeah, often when we see a restart, we see more soft tyres on the cars as well, because of course they're fresh and they're going to be your best and quickest tyre for both the start and the end of the race. Either way, it's fine. Often the overcut prevails around here, going longer, but again, that depends on the front pack, how much they fight, and how much advantage you are going to get from being behind. So a lot of different factors that can come into this. Weather is not one of them, surprisingly. Looks a lot like today. Blue skies, barely a cloud overhead. Perfect conditions.
Yeah, very perfect there. And I nearly had a heart attack because in the chat, Avatar said com race. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I've missed the start of the race. Wow, that's one clear fire way of getting fired from WOR. But at the moment, here we go. Speaking about it, we're waiting on the lights. Here they are, 3, 4, 5 red lights at Silverstone. And we are underway at WOR, and Aurelian looks like he's had a good start. Kai's desperately trying to get alongside him as they come into turn 1. And is it going to be enough? It surely isn't. It is. They're still side by side as they head through, but Kai's got the inside line as they come through. And that is Kai into P1.
That is brilliant from Kai Pearson, already through, and Ogween side by side momentarily there with Shazoo Tom. He's onto the grass as they go round Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight for the first time tonight. Axe F1 trying to pull alongside his teammate Liam Bowman. He will open up the gap to allow the American driver around the outside, wheel to wheel there in the mid-pack. Gabor on the soft tyres now making moves. A lot of tyre differential allowing for these lap 1 overtakes, and around Luffield they go onto Copse Corner for the first time. Will anybody dare to make the move?
This is interesting. Look at that. The Haas and the AlphaTauri going side by side, and there's contact between, I think that was Quantum and Axe F1, and there's a yellow flag. There's front wing flying everywhere. And that is not ideal at all. Aurelian losing a little bit of ground, and actually is going to be under pressure from Sammy as they head into Stowe there. But it's interesting looking from the camera angle point of view, looking back at poor old Axe F1, and he's in a little bit of a world of pain there.
It looked like Quantum's fault entirely, unfortunately, and for the second week in a row, Axe F1 is around on the opening lap. It's sort of back to season 14 luck now. We had a pretty good run of races last season, but the same cannot be said for the first two tonight. Quantum with no front wing has no choice but to come into the pit lane, but yeah, if I was to blame anybody out of those two, it would be him, which is a sad thing to say for the informed driver, as Schumacher tried to bully his way past Stefano. Missed the apex a touch and they made contact.
Gabor looking to try and find a way past Ogween here, and it's pretty easy in the end for the Haas driver, but he's lost a little bit of ground in the to the front runners there, and it could cost him a little bit. Ogween doing his best to hold some drivers up a little bit and get himself through, and in the background Furious dropping again. But this mixture of tyre strategy is something we've not really seen as wild as this before.
Yeah, mediums coming into this more so than last week, where it was predominantly softs and hards, but I think everybody in this race will want to use the soft tyre. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Just the hard runners are going to, you know, try and prolong their first stint a little bit and then maybe try to you know, wait for that safety car opening. But Joe Murphy bump drafting Liam Bowman, and this is a soft versus hard battle. Joe Murphy's going to have the grip all the way around the outside. Liam Bowman shoves him off the track though. Joe Murphy did overtake off the track. Usually that does mean you have to give back the position, but benefit of the doubt, Liam Bowman just seemed to have no idea he was there.
Yeah, looked elbows out, or, well, very elbows out, or nothing at all, unfortunately. And Liam Bowman just couldn't see him, but he's Schumacher under increasing pressure behind from Ryder Dahl, who's desperately trying to find a way past the Mercedes driver. He is the last man on the softer compound of tyres there, so he wants to get through this and use the tyres while they're good. Surely Schumacher going very defensive and allowing the racing line to Ryder Dahl, but he holds the position.
Yeah, really wide there for Ryder Dahl. An example of the marbles on the tyres. Louis Valentin and PR Furious. Quali ban for retiring on track last week, and this is where the comebacks are coming from. Nick already up to 13th, Louis Valentin up to 14th. 6 positions gained each. That's not bad going.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. And yeah, Ryder Dahl still holding station, but Nick up into 13th. I know you've just mentioned it, and I'm just going to blow a little bit more wind his way. He's doing a really good job. Surely Ryder Dahl has got Schumacher this time around. He has done. It's done and dusted, and now he can look at his teammate, who's actually trying to find a way past Liam Bowman.
Yeah, absolutely. Liam Bowman was the first driver last week, let's say, to really start losing a lot of momentum on the soft tyres, so he's gone for the hards this week, maybe to try and avoid a repeat of that, but it just seems like, unfortunately, with a lot of drivers around him going for the softs, he's suffering that same fate of actually losing positions. Stefano's just had another major drift coming into Village, by the way. We saw him do that in qualifying. We've seen him do that again. These guys have had opportunities to change their setups. There's nothing policing that under a restart, but still not looking so comfortable.
Definitely not, and he nearly, where his teammate put his front wing in, well, front end of his car up the inside there, and Stefano wasn't really having any of it through the loop there, and yeah, not ideal seeing teammates do that. Nick still trying to get through. We've not spoken about the front runners. They're not doing much at the moment, other than just following closely, which is what we expect.
All the battles are down low, and I've just seen another one. Furious and Mubarak. Mubarak might have picked up some front wing damage on the right-hand side end plate. I think he might have gotten away with it, but Furious came steaming in down the inside of Copse Corner. That was hards on mediums, and yeah, Mubarak using a lot of his ERS already, which he does tend to do, but this is what cost him earlier on. in the race last week, using too much ERS too quickly, and he lost touch with the Red Bulls. So, again, not quite sure why he's doing that, why he's still putting himself into this situation where he's going to find it hard to overtake. But rather than the front runners, Sammy Shemsi's making a move down the inside at Village. Right as I stop talking about some of those at the rear, Sammy Shemsi is trying to make the move, and Aurelian is not having any of it, forcing the McLaren driver off the track. Here comes Enzo as well, potentially. Sammy Shemsi burning a lot of his ERS now to go down the inside at Brooklands, past the BRDC clubhouse on the right-hand side, and gives Aurelian some of it back. That is a great way to respond following the contact.
Yeah, that is a great bit of driving. However, he's lost. There's a second now between Kai Pearson and the McLaren driver. That could spell danger for everyone else. He's probably going to burn a little bit more as they come through Cops and into Maggots and Beckett's before they get to the hangar straight, because they don't want to lose too much ground to that man there, as it's gone to 0.8 of a second now as well. But Aurelian defending with all his might, and Enzo nearly taking the both of them as well when they went through Aintree.
Yeah, indeed. Again, I think it's easy to say hard racing on that occasion, but Sammy Shemsi got through eventually, and he's probably quite happy about that, now being second place to Kai Pearson, who's been unable to get away thus far. Nick has gained another position into P11, and you know, some of you might be looking at the live chat as well, wondering what Crispy is on about, saying Nick is racing with one arm. We don't know, but he's claimed all week that he broke his arm. I tried to get him to describe it in English because he didn't quite know how to describe the sport he was doing in PE. I got the words high jump out of him, so whether he has actually broke his arm and racing with just one at the minute, it's an absolute miracle how he's up. What, 8 places so far? Storming start.
Talking about storming, Enzo's gone up the inside, storming up the inside of Aurelian, and that is another position gain from the McLaren driver. And the McLarens looked very solid last week, and they're looking solid again as a team. They are looking incredibly good. Nick's doing a good job of getting through the field, and Kai Pearson's leading the way at the moment. And Shazoo Tom, this is up into 5th. He had the win at the end of last season. He's looking very, very much like the Shazoo Tom we know, without getting an incident.
Yeah, of course, you mentioned the win at the back end of last season. It was from this sort of, position. Not really too close to the front, but close enough where he can still make an impact. And it's a perfect race. It's a race that Tom dreams of, finally just having a little bit of track to himself, not really being around drivers that he can't really trust, can't really get on with, and that's where the incidents and the bad luck tends to occur for him. But a great position so far. I mean, pit stops won't be for a little while, possibly around lap 11, 12, if I was to guess. The driver's pushing it that far on the softs, but, he can undercut from there, can do something pretty special.
Talking about people doing something special, Liam Bowman's obviously doing a great job, but Ogwyn, up into 7th place on the set of hards, he can go longer than anyone else around him. He's using everyone else's pace in front of him, the slipstream and what have you, to really be a thorn in the side later on tonight and later on in this race.
Well, I said that this race will be highly dependent on what tyres the drivers start on. I looked at the grid and I thought, okay, who is most likely to maybe start on those tyres? Ogwyn has done it. I wasn't expecting him to, but, I wasn't expecting it based on what I was seeing on the race director, but he has gone for the hard tyres, and he's actually in probably the best position in this race, because he can go long, he can wait, for these guys to pit, to start battling for the track position. His overcut, he'll come in for a set of softs, he'll have greater grip than everybody in front of him, and theoretically should be on course to maybe start overtaking them. How high he finishes, well, that's a different story, but best position, and my race win prophecy potentially could come true. By the way, Stefano and Liam Bowman side by side. Stefano, again, almost forcing Liam Bowman off the road. He's trying to hang it in there, and through comes Nick on the inside, his NVR teammate, and Liam Bowman's getting boxed in to allow Nick to go up the inside at Abbey Corner. Bowman's been forced off the track. There's contact between the two teammates at MVR. That's not what they want, especially, but Nick is through and into 10th.
Yeah, I just couldn't really get a good camera angle there in the back end. Again, goes on Nick, which is it's happened for a second week in a row now at a certain point for Nick, and he's let Liam Bowman straight back through there, and that's not ideal.
It's not ideal, especially as Nick needs to continue making these moves, but Liam Bowman, a position lost to a medium runner, still indicating that every sort of tyre compound out there at the moment actually still performing at a similar rate. So, again, I think everybody could be in at very similar times throughout the course of this race, despite the differentials, because the performance seems to be so similar.
Yeah, it's all averaged at the moment, and I wonder if the medium runners are looking to go onto the hards, onto the softs towards the end. That's got to be the only way they do it. There goes Liam Bowman past Stefano. But yeah, I can't imagine them wanting to go onto a set of hards at any point in this race when they're... I don't know, I feel like it should have been a soft hard race instead of a medium soft race though. But like we mentioned earlier on, they're the drivers for a reason, and we're the ones just talking about it. And Liam Bowman then back into P9 and trying to get a little bit closer to Murphy to use some of his slipstream to stay ahead of the drivers behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Murphy's had a pretty sound race in P8 actually, just not really had a lot to do except that opening lap where he gained around 3-4 places. He's up 4 now as of lap 9, but ever since just been chilling, I think is the word, in P8. Another big winner, of course, Nick and Louis Valentin. But relatively, other than that move from Sami Shemsi and Enzo on Aurelian, this train has mostly stayed put. So clearly not much intention so far, and the battling will come later.
Yeah, usually does happen a little bit later here at Silverstone. Let's go back up to Enzo, who's looking very close to the back end of his teammate. I wonder if he'll do anything about it or whether he's happy just to stay behind for the time being. It looks like he's just staying behind for now. And in the background there, you see Nick just not really getting close to Stefano. That missed opportunity of taking both him, Liam Bowman and Stefano seems to be now working against Nick right now. Mobrak picking up the first penalty of the day, and he's down in 18th place and he's into the pits.
Yeah, he succeeded on the exit of Stowe, I think. He had the mistake in qualifying on his final run. He's been off the track a few times. It's difficult for him on a pad, of course, but others out there managing it, and he'll jump the gun early, go onto a set of hards, and maybe try and undercut his way back into the pack, because it's really his only hope from down there in what was P16.
Yeah, there's a few drivers in the background. Look like they're trying to heat their tyres up. That's a bit of an odd one in the background here at Silverstone. Shazoo Tom getting very close to the back end of Aurelian at the moment, and that could be signs, proving a little bit of signs of danger for the Aston Martin driver, as he's already lost 2 positions earlier on with Sami and Enzo. I wonder if Shazoo Tom can get in on the action as well.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no real rush, there's no real incentive to, like I said, until they come into the pit lane. So whatever they do now is effectively taking a risk, but there's no real ERS deployment. Everybody is just sitting in the DRS. They're waiting to see what our race leader Kai Pearson does, and if I was him, I would take the early pit stop. I would try and undercut myself out of the DRS range, but somebody behind him has already taken that earlier shot. It's Aurelian that's in. It's Gabor and Joe Murphy in as well, all off the soft tyres at the end of lap 10, and well, we could see some shake-ups from now.
Yeah, this is where people will, well, especially Kai Pearson, will start deploying and pushing a little bit further. These guys will pit, and the McLaren duo have maybe been caught out a little bit, because only one of them can pit right now, and I'm guessing that'll be the lead McLaren driver, which at the moment is Sami Shemsi. So those, I'm guessing Kai and Sami will pit this lap. Who knows? They might decide to go that a little bit longer and have fresher tyres at the end.
He could indeed. And like I said earlier, fresher tyres tends to be the play at the end of the race. So just how close they come out, that's going to be the deciding factor here, I think, tonight. My back's still about 4 seconds off Joe Murphy. So He is very much away from this front train. Aurelian's found a second on Gabor. He's the one that pitted from 4th, lost the positions to both McLarens and thought, okay, I'm losing time here. I've lost ground, and so I need to try and make that up. And what better thing to do than come in a lap earlier?
Yeah, that seems like the way forward at the present moment in time anyway. And into the pits then, everyone else decides, and that's left Enzo, and Sammy nearly goes into the back end of Kai. That's how quickly they're going into the pit lane. Louis Valentine then continuing around, and we will see Ogwin then lead a lap of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, I think so. It'll be a great moment for him, leading his first laps in WOR Tier 1. Let's see how they emerge from the pit lane. There goes Kai Pearson. Sammy Shemsey will tuck in between him and Shizu Tom there as well in the red and white Ferrari, of course, the one-off Las Vegas livery. But Kai Pearson versus Aurelian will be the battle at the exit of the pit lane. Aurelian coming in full speed, 190 miles an hour. Kai Pearson getting his foot now on the throttle. It's going to be very close, and Aurelian will have the DRS because there's the detection zone. They're separated by merely a tenth coming out of the pit lane. Aurelian now potentially the favourite here to take the lead.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. His tyres are warmer as well. They're up to temperature and ready to attack. Let's see it from Aurelian's point of view. Does he go to the inside? He does, as they head on down, and he takes provisional lead, net lead, I guess. I suppose you could call it, into Brooklands, and Kai Pearson will be a little bit annoyed with that. But Gabor's gained massively from this, and that's a really good piece of work from the Haas driver, because he's right with the leaders.
Yeah, he is indeed. Gabor nets, what is this now, 4th for the Hungarian driver. Another great qualifying, you have to say, from him. Enzo now comes in as well, and based on the undercut attempts we've seen, this could be as low as net P5, net P6 here for Enzo. The one-time Tier 1 race winner last season at Zandvoort has got some work to do with the 2-lap fresher tyre advantage over some of these drivers. He needs to be making some effective moves.
Kai has retaken the position from Aurelian, and that is probably music to his ears. Definitely, he's built a little bit of a gap. He was much quicker out of the exit of Beckett's and Chapel and down the hanger straight, and he's just maybe a little bit more confident, as Enzo is massively down. He's at the back of the straight. He's behind Shizu Tom, which is not ideal, but at least he will be with the train. But there is a gap of 4 seconds between Ride Dahl and Furious. But we've still got a leading battle going on of the drivers that have yet to pit, and that is Liam Bowman trying to find a way through Ogwin, and MVR Nick is right in there as well.
Absolutely. Nick still, continuing his progress. He's got hard runners to potentially overtake, or even come in slightly earlier than them. A top 6 train now. It's sort of what we had earlier, but exclusively now, I should say, for drivers that haven't pit. Liam Bowman takes the lead of the race on track. He doesn't come into the pit lane. Neither does Ogwin, Nick, Stefano, Louis. But Schumacher does from the back end in P6. He does slow the car down. Requires some practice, that pit lane entrance, especially on worn tyres. You want to brake as late as you possibly can, of course, without exceeding the 37 mile an hour speed limit.
Oh, it's very, very close into Stowe, and that was very close to Aurelian, nearly clipping the back end. Here's Sammy Shemsey, though, trying to find which way past the Aston Martin driver. He's putting his car in every position to get a move done. It just hasn't happened yet. Schumacher then through. Mobarak's left the session. Oh, he's retired in the pit lane. He's unfortunately not going to get anything from this week. From elation to despair for the Ferrari man, he's just not had the best of luck here at Silverstone. But something that will help Kai Pearson is Axe F1 is right ahead of him. That should give him a little bit of slipstream and a little bit of defence, possibly, to the chasing cars behind.
Yeah, Axe has been driving around with damage, I think, on the front wing for the entirety of this race. Looks very slow through Luffield. Of course, part of that being has got 13 lap old hard tyres. Kai Pearson will want to get a move on here, but he also acknowledges that there is a very simple option coming up down the hanger straight. He'll stay behind it to Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Everybody else doing the same behind, so he's not under too much pressure here, but Axe F1, another horrible race on his own, potentially an AI for some of it, which I don't blame him for. Aurelian, though, has got a great exit. Kai Pearson in the slipstream. Aurelian will tuck in as well and then move across to Kai, but Kai does manage to get through without losing another position to Aurelian. Axe does stay out, though. A spanner in the works here for these guys as the Canadian driver Sammy Shempsey goes up the inside. Axe will try and hold it, gets pinched there on the inside. That forces Gabor into a swapper, and Shazoo Tom goes through on the inside, as does Enzo, and poor Gabor, with a drive that hadn't pit there, getting tangled.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Trying to find the best camera angle for all the action going on. And there goes Murphy on the Alpha Tauri driver of Axe there as well. And there goes it's Tom getting through as well. Yeah, poor Gabor. A race of possibly now of what could have been as Enzo gets through. But crucially, there could be a little bit of a gap now between Murphy and the net top three.
Yeah, Joe Murphy has to burn here because that gap is hovering at about a second. Sammy Shempsey will only continue to pull away because he's got the slipstream for the time being from Aurelian. It's down to about 9.5 tenths. Joe Murphy's used about 20 to 30% on that battery, has made his way back within a second. It's what had to be done, but it does leave him vulnerable still from Tom, who can see that red light flashing on the rear of the Alfa Romeo.
Nick pits then from P1. Lou Valentine and Ryan have gone as well. Interestingly enough, we did miss the pits of Liam Bowman. And who else did we miss the pit? Ogween is now down to 16th place. I'm not sure what has happened there, but he's behind Liam Bowman. I wonder if he had a wing change.
Yeah, possibly. I think that was going on while the front runners were battling. Ryder Dow's had a huge slide again. The Williams cars continue to struggle. Now, that's not an actual performance thing because they're all equal, but it just seems like a strange effect today of being in that Williams, a homegrown car here in Great Britain. As Schumacher gets through, we've had another pit stop from Ryan. Again, nothing too much to shout about for him. Unfortunately, I'm sure his day will come. It won't be today. Sammy Shempsey, though, looking to go around the outside of Aurelian. Aurelian's gone in slightly deep. It doesn't allow Sammy Shempsey much room. He had the car's width. Then it opens up again on the inside of Lovefield. This contact, and Aurelian gets touched out wide there. And Sammy Shempsey, well, you have to say, it was a cheap move. It was a move that might well go to the stewards.
Definitely, that's definitely something to consider for him. But Shazoo Tom getting through Murphy as well. The overspeed through Wellington Straight, through the Wellington Straight was incredible for the Ferrari driver, and he nearly managed to find a way into this battle with Sammy and Aurelian. And he is very close to the back end of the Aston Martin driver now. I wonder if he's got enough in him to push it. Just behind Enzo, trying to find through Murphy as well, up into Stowe, and it has been done. Enzo into 6th place now, and that's going to be 5th when they get past Stefano, who's in the pits.
There we go, Enzo making moves. Sammy Shempsey again on Aurelian, and Aurelian did get through this time, but they can't continue to trip up over each other because Kai is only going to get away. They recognise that it's what happened last week at the front of the field that allowed him to get so clear with his teammate Nick, of course, on that occasion. Just on his own this time, hasn't got that rear guard in the young German. But Enzo, though, on the freshest tyres in the top 7, has overtaken Gabor, has overtaken Joe Murphy, and is pulling alongside Shazoo Tom now as well. He's got to be committed into Brooklands, braking late just after the 50-metre board. Tom is sticking there, though. He knows that he has to fend off this position. Otherwise, the chances of a race win, a podium, could be slipping away from him. But Enzo, once again on the fresh tyres. We have seen some brilliant moves over the first 2 rounds. That's another one of them.
Round the outside of Lovefield. Great respect, though, you have to say, between the 2 drivers, because that could have ended nasty. But they've done a really good job of respect between the 2 of them. Sammy is all over Aurelian, trying his best. He's desperate to find a way. But if anything, I think it's going to be Enzo, the man, that's going to be able to make a move, possibly on both of them. They're very quick as they head into Kai Pearson, very nearly into the Red Bull driver, quite literally. But at the moment, it's still side by side between Aston Martin and McLaren as they come through Vale into Club. And surely Sammy's got the move this time.
He has done, and Enzo on the inside as well. Another brilliant bit of teamwork from the McLaren duo. They did it last week when the first Red Bull rolled the dice going into the pit lane. They doubled up on Mubarak at that moment. They've doubled up on Aurelian this time, who's still trying to fight his way through. Enzo, though, potentially in the best position here. Will Sammy Shemsi coordinate, let him through, give him the opportunity to take on our race leader, Kai Pearson? There's 7 laps to go, and that was a very significant lap.
That was very, very good between the two of them. In the background, I think Furious and Schumacher getting a little bit close there, and Schumacher getting through on those younger, harder compound tyres than Furious, but he's managed to make the move stick. Let's have a look a little bit. Enzo has a little look up the inside, maybe to remind his teammate that he is on the fresher tyres. Let me go, let me at him, I think is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, possibly. There's no obligation down at McLaren. I don't know how closely they work, of course, being in different teams. Sammy now in Veloce Academy. Enzo, please can somebody remind me, because I've absolutely gone brain dead with the team he's in nowadays. It's just been a while since I've seen him on the tournament front, but either way, both on PlayStation. Both should be working together here, if at all possible, because they can double this up on Kai. There is an opportunity for Sammy to go for the move, to sort of force Kai offline potentially. Enzo can come through as well. There is an opportunity. It will be soon, but how soon?
Well, we'll wait and see, definitely. Time is running out, though, for the McLaren drivers. Time is running out for a lot of drivers. Here comes Liam Bowman, who is going to be on much fresher tyres, and he's he's at the back of this queue. He's just taken Joe Murphy there. So, it's time. Well, can Liam Bowman really do something special, because Gabor is having to defend tooth and nail to keep the position, and I don't think he is. That is a very, very solid and, well, I don't want to say aggressive, but it's all forceful, because it makes it sound like a horrible move, but it was a move that Liam Bowman had to make, and he's done it quite well.
Yeah, just being corrected in the chat. Enzo is also in the Veloce Academy, so there is absolutely no way these two wouldn't be working together at this stage. Just to correct myself there on what I just said. Olguin also 4 lap medium tyres, still sat 9th. He was running as high as P7, but look at him now, almost getting back within a second. Here's Liam Bowman, who's within a 10th of Shizou Tom, and also on the 4 lap old medium tyres. He's in a great position too, and it will be P5 now as he clears Tom on the exit of Stowe. We have some absolutely thrilling encounters to come here in the final 7 laps of this British Grand Prix.
It's only going to get better, because Liam Bowman is taking no prisoners right now. Aurelian just ahead of him, and we've seen how dogged he defends, but I think Liam Bowman is going up the inside. That Liam Bowman is, I don't want to say it's desperation, but he's doing everything he can to give himself a chance of this win. And he's got the move done.
Yeah, again, just right as we said that. Not often we see it through the loop, but he's made that move stick. And here's Gabor as well, down the inside of Shizou Tom, who's losing position after position. And unfortunately, that penalty lies entirely on Gabor. He's just cut the corner at Brooklands.
I think he may have just clipped the back end of Shizou Tom as well, which didn't help the back end there, which has allowed Murphy to really attack through into Copse, but I think Tom will hold the position for the time being, back up to the leaders, and I think Enzo is definitely going to try and remind Sammy Shemsi again that maybe he should really be allowed to have a pop at Kai as they come down the hanger straight. But Kai has a great bit of pace as he comes down, and he's just not being able to be troubled there. Someone that we've forgotten about nearly is Nick. He's up into 8th on the soft tyres. He's going to have a look up the inside of Shizou Tom. And what have I missed? Or is that what you...
Oh, I was reacting because I thought it was about to go steaming into the side of Gabor. I saw it coming late, but he doesn't actually get through. It was so brave from Nick. I was bracing myself for some contact. But I tell you what, that is great committed racing. That's what we want to see from these guys. And yeah, hopefully this now continues.
Alguin through on Joe as well, or is he? It's side by side as they head through Aintree down the Wellington Straight. It looks like a little bit of a straight line advantage for Murphy for the time being, but as they go into Brooklands, we see a very, very solid move from Nick on the Ferrari, and Joe Murphy being overtaken by Alguin as well. It's all happening all at once, all the time.
All the time, indeed. Position after position being changed there out on the circuit. Gabor sniffing. Aurelian coming into Cop's corner. Not close enough again, though. Sammy Shemsi, he's never been closer than this. Just a 10th in it now through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Is this the time? There goes the overtake button. I think we're about to see it here, Gareth. Here he goes. Kai sat in the middle of the track. To the right-hand side goes Sammy Shemsi. Enzo's coming through as well, but Kai saw it coming. He blocked off the inside, and only one McLaren has made the move for now.
Does Kai look at it into Club? He doesn't. Oh, is that a little bit of a slip there? I saw a wheel change from Kai Pearson, and I desperately I hoped it wasn't a contact from Enzo. But we do have a lead change, and in the background, it's all... Why is it all at once? There's too much to go on, and hopefully we can continue. Up the inside, though, is Liam Bowman on Enzo, and surely Enzo's going to hold the position. Liam Bowman's trying to find a switchback as they come through the loop and into Aintree, but it's just not going to happen on this occasion. Nick is now right behind Aurelian, so that position could change very, very shortly. But Liam Bowman surely has the move this time around. He's gone around the outside of Brooklyn, so he's got the inside of Luffield. We saw Enzo take a position on the outside of Luffield, but this time at Woodcote, Liam Bowman is into third place.
Oh, I'm seeing so many moves out there on circuit at the moment. I was trying to keep tabs on Bowman. I was trying to keep tabs on Ogween and Louis Valentin. Ogween made a brilliant move around the outside of Village. Louis got him back. Then comes Stefano down the inside as well at Maggots and Beckett. So just one position gains can turn into two positions lost. It is just an endless cycle at the moment. Liam Bowman, though, I think is now your favourite for this race win. An unbelievable turnaround from the hard tyres, from as low as, ninth place, I think, at some point in this one. He's recovered, he's third, and he can potentially get past Kai and lead himself onto Sammy.
Nick is all over the back of Aurelian again, tried it up the inside at Club, and it just wasn't happening. We've seen quite a lot of drivers, Sammy being one of them, desperate to make the move up into that corner.
Yeah, I mean, it's an appealing one, Village, and, you know, all the corners that do lead onto a DRS straight. Here's Gabor at Village through Woodcote. Then they both open the DRS, so it's a straight drag race now in towards Brooklands they go, and Gabor did in the end back out of that one. Just what I was saying there. You go up the inside and you still have the DRS. You're in an incredible position.
Yeah, that was quite opportunistic for Gabor. He does have that penalty hanging over his head, which at this moment in time could drop him outside of the points, and that is insane, being in third place. Back to the leaders, Sammy, Kai and Liam. They are so close together. Not even half a second separates them. That's how close they're battling. Surely this time round, Sammy is under incredible pressure, but I think there's a mistake from Kai, but I don't think it's going to matter. Defensive from Sammy as they head down the hanger straight. Is Sammy going to lose two positions? I think he is, but Liam Bowman's desperate to hold in. He has done, and Sammy will be a little bit annoyed with that.
He wanted them both, did Liam Bowman. There was almost an opening on Kai, but... oh! And there's contact. I'm just going to interrupt myself because Nick and Shizu Tom have had a squabble coming through the Vale chicane. Both of them going around, both of them losing positions. That promotes Schumacher into the points with a penalty, doing the unorthodox strategy onto the hard tyres. Ogween sneaks through into 8th. I think there was a separate incident down there as well, perhaps just a knock-on effect of that. But this super close midfield fight, again, seeing no let-up with some contact in there now as well.
Yeah, there was also Murphy, who's now 4 seconds away from all this as well. So plenty going on, and unfortunately, all like I mentioned, all going on, all happening all at once, and you just can't keep up. Nick now. Those soft compounded tyres are probably not going to be the best ones to be on. He's got Tim behind him, who's going to try and force a way through, surely, when they come down the hanger straight. Those softs, yeah, only a lap or two left to go in the race, but I don't think are going to be the ones you really want to be on.
Yeah, absolutely. Here comes Liam Bowman, by the way, for the lead of the race. And these are the tyres you do want to be on. 3 lap fresher, medium tyres than Kai Pearson. And for the first time tonight, and I think the first time since Zandvoort last season, Liam Bowman leads in WOR's Crossplay Tier 1. He was the runner-up here in the Legacy Division. Is now finally his time to get his name in the Hall of Fame.
Time will tell. Murphy retiring. He's out of this Grand Prix. Quantum all the way down into 19th. He's not had a best one. Kai Pearson all over the back of Liam Bowman. Lap 25. We are on the penultimate lap of this Silverstone Grand Prix. And while it may have been a little bit subdued to start with, people doing just holding back, not pushing too far. Definitely Liam Bowman being one of those drivers. All of a sudden, it sparked into life in this second half of this Grand Prix, and we don't know how it's going to end.
We don't know how it's going to end, and we are pushing 100 viewers for this final lap to come. We're sorry that F1, FOM, EA, whoever's involved has let you down tonight in not being able to see potentially your favourite 20 drivers go head-to-head in the exact same room. We're racing across the world here in WOR. And, well, there is no greater feeder to esports, to PC racing, than consoles Tier 1. And we are about to see a titanic battle between pad and wheel. For those of you that don't know, anything goes here. And this is a prime example of 2 of the best on their respective devices about to do battle. Liam Bowman leading Kai Pearson by 3 seconds. Kai's got a fully charged battery. Liam Bowman does not.
This is going to be interesting. Well, final lap of the race. Kai Pearson, is he going to make it 2 of 2 from this season, or is Liam Bowman going to give us something special? But Sammy is desperately trying to get in on the action as well. It's not just about those two. Sammy is going all full at it, and this has given Liam Bowman a 0.5 of a second lead. Kai just trying to force the McLaren away from him a little bit, but he can't. And there he goes. And are we going to see an Enzo special around the outside of Luffield? Surely not. Not for the second time tonight, because Kai Pearson is desperately going up the inside of the McLaren driver of Sammy Shemsi.
Bowman's getting away. He's broken the 1 second. The 2 McLarens and the Red Bull involved again. Look how wide Sammy is. I think he was trying to sacrifice a warning there in the hope that he gets DRS back. But unfortunately, he might have to settle for another second place here in WOR. 1 second is the gap. There's no rear wing open for Sammy Shemsi. He's weaving now with Sammy. That might be one too many as Kai Pearson gains and gains, but he can't get through. He's got another burst of ERS going down in towards Vale, but I think Bowman and Sammy have both done enough.
That is incredible job from Sammy, but it's this man. He's done it in style. Liam Bowman, with 2 laps to go, takes the lead of the race and wins WOR round 2, the Great Britain Grand Prix Silverstone. What an end to this Grand Prix. Bowman is your race victor. Sammy might be under spotlight a little bit, but Kai Pearson in 3rd. Enzo do it well. What a final lap that was. We did see Stefano hold off from Ogween as well as they go down the hanger straight. And I tell you what, Joseph, what was your favourite moment of that last few laps?
I don't know, honestly, but again, both McLarens, just as they were in Bahrain, they doubled up on Mubarak, really, for that final lap. They really came off second best, neither of them on the podium. This time they did it on Kai. And, well, Sammy went for it, sort of forced Kai out wide. Enzo went around the outside at Luffield. There was more contact from Kai down the inside of Luffield on, I'm still trying to work this out, on Sammy. Sammy was getting away, he was weaving, he didn't have enough ERS, and it was just too little too late again there for Kai. Has to settle for 3rd, so Liam Bowman, top step of the podium, raising the Scottish flag aloft for the first time in WOR's crossplay Tier 1. The first of many, potentially. Our first pad win as well in a little while.
Wow, that is... what a way to end the Grand Prix. I don't think either of us were expecting that. We knew it would come back to a final few lap battle, but what a way to end the Grand Prix. And you know what? The game gave Louis Valentine the driver of the day. I'll let you guys in the chat and Joseph yourself stew over it for a little bit, but let's go down the order. Liam Bowman takes victory, starting from 7th on the grid. Sammy coming home in 2nd, and Kai Pearson rounding out the podium sitters there. Enzo started 4th, finished 4th. Aurelian started pole, finished 5th. Stefano in 6th, a great race for him. Ogween 7th, 8th to Gabor. What a race for him, as well as Schumacher picking up some points, even though they got penalties. Louis Valentine finishing 10th there. Shazoo Tom, Furious, Ryan, Nick, Ryder Dahl, Axe, and Quantum, and Tim there as well. I wonder what happened to Tim, because he was he was up in the points, so there was issues there. But they were the remainder of your finishers, with non-finishers to the last 2 drivers there, which was Mobarak and I can't remember the other driver that we had here because it was so... was it Quantum? Quantum retired in the pits, was it? Or anyway, enough about that. Let's go back to our lovely faces. Wow, what a way to end this race, Joseph. Who do you think driver of the day?
I mean, there was a bit of teamwork going on between the AlphaTauris. Without Axe's hold-up, potentially could have been a different story, but most of Bowman's moves there at the end of the race were clean. I can understand his frustration towards the start, but I think anybody who comes from 2nd to 1st on an alternate strategy deserves all the plaudits. It's Bowman for me.
Yeah, it was a very, very good drive from him. I wonder if anyone will come to join us. I suppose we will throw Kai into here first. Let's head over to podium interviews before we speak more about the race. And the first man in here is Kai Pearson, the winner from last week. Kai, the bottom step of the podium this week. Not ideal with that last lap battle.
No, not really. I feel like I deserved the win. I think I led about 90% of the race, and then I had about 50% advantage battery on Bowman on the last lap. And then, well, a bit speechless on what happened after that, to be honest.
Yeah, tough break. I'll hand over to Joseph though to do proper podium interviews.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say proper because I'm going to try and elaborate on that last lap a little bit. I mean, you replied there to Sammy saying, okay, did you feel like you were a little bit doubled up, maybe just a bit hard done by on that last lap? Because it looked like there were a couple, bits of contact there, and you never want to end a race like that, do you?
No, not really. Going into turn 4, he was fully behind me, sent it down the inside, and then hit me. And then same again at turn 6, was behind, sent it again, hit me wide. And then he weaves about 4 times down the last straight to not let me through. So, I mean, I'll be surprised if he doesn't get a penalty, but it is what it is.
Another hour of practice, though, on your birthday. Positives to take. You're still leading the championship, and you're, still after the top prize on console, which is the main thing for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, the main thing, I guess. Just got to keep the consistency up. Yeah, but there was a lot of tracks where it's quite hard to keep consistent, like Monaco, Vegas. Yeah, it'll be fun.
All the best, Kai. Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations, Kai. Unfortunate, but like Joseph mentioned, he's still leading the way in the championship, so it's going to be a long season, isn't it, Joseph? 11 races is still a long season for some of these guys.
Yeah, it is. And like Kai just mentioned there, Monaco and Vegas to come, consistency. I mean, if you can get anything out of those, I think it's a bonus because it's going to be literally a roulette. So I'm not making a gambling joke with Monaco and Vegas, but with safety cars, with weather, with whatever could happen over the next 2 weeks. So take what you can.
And from third place on the podium, let's go to second place and first place. Sorry, I'm doing him a
yeah.
disservice there. But let's head over to Liam Bowman, and congratulations on your race victory. And Joseph, over to you, my friend.
Oh, Liam, what a way to do it. Penultimate lap. I mean, I'm sure there was an element of feeling a bit fortunate from your side, having seen that battle behind you. You broke DRS, though. You made the later pit stop. I think everything fell for you perfectly tonight.
Yeah, it did. And I got some help from Axe.
Yeah. I think he said in the Discord he saw you at the back of the train trying to catch up. Was that sort of, coordinated and used to try and help you get in?
I kind of imagined him holding up. So, overcut works. It's going to work a lot better. Fresher tyres, so just tried to save as much battery while catching as well.
I mean, you've had some, unfortunate situations. And last season you missed out on your first win there, but finally tonight you've got it. And I think I said essentially the first of many, because we know what you're capable of. Just watch this season. Do you think you can kick on and maybe pose a threat to the likes of Kai?
Hopefully. Calendar looks good, so I'm hoping, yeah.
That's great to hear. I love it. So, well done to you again. I'll see if Gareth has any questions.
Liam, I mean, when you were at the back of the train, and did you ever think victory was on the cards with how the first half of the race went?
Not really. Until I actually caught up to the train again. That's when I started to think, oh, okay, a win could be on here. But when I first came out the pits, I didn't think it was on.
Do you think, obviously, only 2 races in the season, we've still got 9 races to go. Championship, are you thinking positive?
Yeah, very positive after today.
Fair enough indeed. Well, congratulations to yourself and Kai, who are still here, but both contrast of races, but you both finished on the podium, and some good points hauls, and look forward to next week, the Monaco Grand Prix, the crown jewel of F1. Joseph, I mean, there's so much going through there. Again, a McLaren driver doing a great overtake. We've seen it quite often, but at the outside of Luffield, Enzo, an incredible move.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got the first 2 races with brilliant moves, no safety cars. We're having a clean start. I think that's fair to say. There'll be 1 or 2 stewards' inquiries, I'm sure, but nothing that we can look at from that race and go, didn't like that. A great first run, I have to say.
It was a good one, definitely here at Silverstone. But Monaco around the corner. It's going to, we mentioned earlier on, it's going to give us a different perspective for the racing. Are we going to see people try doing overtakes in weird and wonderful places at Monaco, or do you think they're going to be a little bit more strategic in pit stops and the such?
Yeah, I mean, it can go either way, unfortunately, which makes it a little bit more predictable, a little bit more scary from our point of view. But if there's an opportunity to overtake, we've seen drivers tonight that will just take it. They will take it with both hands. They'll go down the inside at a place where a Formula 1 car should not be side by side with another Formula 1 car, and they've got to, because that's the only way you'll make their progress around Monaco. So we'll see what comes with qualifying bans. The qualifying session itself, that 18 minutes is going to be vital.
There could be some people really unhappy and unfortunate, because obviously you don't want a qualifying ban going into Monaco, because that, I don't want to say it ruins your race, but it doesn't help in any way, shape or form. And some people might be frustrated with that one. Anyway, any final words from yourself before we head off for tonight?
Oh, not really. Obviously, championship a little changed around. Good point score for Kai. Still continues him to lead the way. P2 for Sami Shemsi following that P4 last week, of course. Yeah, puts him on a good amount as well. So we'll see what happens going into Monaco, I think, before I reserve any judgment for the remainder of this season.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me again. It's always a pleasure with you alongside me in the comms box. But for now, keep an eye on everything WOR related on X, or the artist formerly known as Twitter. Also join the Discord. We've got plenty of races still to fulfill your lives between now and the big Christmas that is just around the corner, only a month away. But for now, thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute insane race tonight, and I'm glad you were there to enjoy it with us. But for now, goodbye.